Gateway Gamers podcast.
Hello, welcome to Gateway Gamers podcast. My name is Brian.
And I'm RP.
And this is a podcast where I introduce my friend RP to the world of board gaming, 1, 2, or 3 games at a time.
Yeah, something like that.
How are you, sir? It's been a while.
It has been. I'm doing well. Missed your beautiful face in person this time.
Yeah.
Last couple have been Zoom. Yeah, I'm doing well. How are you? Keep
Good.
it busy. Keep it busy.
Busy. We both have just a very busy schedule at the moment, so it's
Yep.
been a minute since we were able to get together and play.
Happy St. Patty's Day to everybody. If this is dropping Monday.
I think it's Drops Monday, yeah.
All
so
right, happy St. Patty's Day.
I can't.
Why?
That's,
I'm Irish.
what percentage?
A lot.
Okay, enough?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
all right.
I don't know what other nationality I would be.
We already upset British people. I don't want to upset the Irish as well. I want to travel one day.
I'm one of the Irish. I've been there. I've been to the city of Dublin. But luck of the Irish to you. Top of the morning. And the rest of the day to you as well.
Just try not to look at you as you're doing it.
I'm like Barry Keoghan. I'm just doing a Barry Keoghan impression.
Who was that? Who was
You
that?
don't know Barry.
Oh, yeah. Not by name. I know his...
The Banshees of Inisherin, his character from Eternals.
Eternals. That's how I know him. And almost Joker.
Yeah. They say feck.
Do I have to edit that?
F-E-C-K. I
Yeah,
don't know.
is
They
that-
go feckin'.
Is that a swear?
I don't know.
Anyway, I tried to tell you to stay
Is feck
on
is
topic.
feck
Now you got to look
a
that up.
swear?
Actually, look that up. But anyway, it's been a while since we got together. We're getting together today to play a game. RP doesn't know the game, which is kind of our old format. And the format I enjoy is when I kind of get to spring a game on him.
No, feck is considered polite or a mild expletive.
Okay, so don't
So,
have to, no
damn.
beeping that out.
No. I can say feck all I want. Feck.
So that's the format I always enjoy, is springing a game onto you,
Yeah.
because it just adds a little bit of mystery to you
Sure.
as what you're playing.
Just tell me the fecking game.
Yeah, so this game is actually a game that we've been talking about for a while. We previewed at PAX Unplugged
Oh.
from the OP
Lego?
or the OP.
Oh, so it's not the Lego game.
No, not the Lego game, from the OP.
The OP.
We worked with them before, and they sent us a copy of the previous game of this.
No way.
So I reached out to them and got
No way.
the X-Men
Whoa!
Dice
No
Throne.
way!
Yes, so...
Sorry for your earbuds. My God, that was loud. I'm looking at it now. That was loud. Holy crap.
So you love Dice Throne. It's one of the games that I kind of introduced to you.
We're playing X-Men Dice
Yes.
Throne today?
Yes, I'll pull it out of my bag in a second.
You're not pulling a trick on me.
No.
No shenanigans?
No shenanigans.
No feckin' jokes?
No, I'll pull it out of the bag in a second. But just some backstory. I've gotten to know you pretty well, where if I introduce a game to you, I could pretty much tell within 5 minutes if you like it or not.
Yeah.
Dice Throne, we played together a while ago. It wasn't a recording day. I just had it, and you played
it. Like 2 years ago.
Yeah, and you immediately were like, I like this game. What is this game?
Yeah.
And then the Marvel edition came out. You immediately bought it. We were actually sent a copy from the OP, unsolicited. They just kind of sent it to us. This one, I pretty much had to beg. I'm not proud. Once in a while, we get a free copy of games. It's rare that
I would have begged for this one. We've been excited about this.
It's rare that I kind of reach out to publishers. Like, if they send out forms, I'll fill them out. It's rare that I reach out. This one, I filled out the form, and then I specifically emailed the guy. I was like, hey, my last name's Marvel.
Yeah.
I think it would be a good tie-in, blah, 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 blah. So they ended up sending it. So thank you to OP.
Once again, I mean, they sent us even though I purchased it, they sent us the regular
last set,
Marvel set.
Yeah.
Now we're about to play the X-Men set.
Yep, so let me get the boxes out for you.
Drum roll.
All right, so... I don't remember.
I am pumped.
Yeah, so this was a Kickstarter. Do you remember?
They're weird looking though. Why are the boxes weird looking?
They're longer than the other ones.
Yeah, so the one that we have.
You have a battle chest.
Dice Throne in general is like it's like a rectangular box. It's like a rectangle.
Yeah.
Box like most board games. It's small, but this is long.
Yeah, it's almost like an old school. This is almost like an old school like coffin box. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what they're called. So. Yeah, the Marvel set had a big box like this with 4 characters, and then the individual 2-pack boxes.
I don't know, because I only have the chest, and you can pre-order the X-Men chest.
Yeah.
So I've never seen a Dice Throne like this.
Yeah, so this is basically 2 coffin-sized boxes. It's 4 characters in each box. I don't know, do you remember the Kickstarter, the characters? It was Cyclops, Jean Grey.
Well, I remember Wolverine and Storm.
Wolverine, Storm, Psylocke, Iceman, Rogue, Gambit, and I think that was it, looking at the boxes.
Yeah, 8. There was 8.
And then there is a Deadpool 1 that I think it's coming out.
Okay.
If it's not already out.
Did they send you that?
Yes. I didn't bring it today because I just wanted to cover these. Deadpool will come out later. So I knew you'd be excited for these. These are my gift to you, RP.
What?
Yes. So these, I have too many games. I'm actually doing a big purchase month unrelated to this podcast or whatever.
Are you serious?
But these are my gift to you because
What?
I know you and Audra, you and former producer Audra actually play these games.
Well, I will say that's nice. I did purchase the $110 box last time, and I didn't have to this time. Thanks, man. That's really nice.
Maybe you won't. We'll see.
Oh, you think it? No, I'm not.
We'll
no, I'm not dropping money when I don't have to.
All right, you ready to go play?
Hell yeah, man. Let's go.
All right, let's go. Alright, welcome back. So the way we're going to do this is we're probably going to split this episode into 2 parts just to keep it from being too long. Today we're going to cover the Gambit, Rogue, Jean Grey, Cyclops box. So that'll be this episode. Next episode will be the other 4 characters.
And Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, and Dark Phoenix. So that way it's just not like a hour and a half episode. Yeah, it's just a lot of information going to be thrown at you. I will say we're also not going to go over the rules into detail of Dice Throne in general. We have episodes we talked about before.
This is our third Dice Throne episode. Yeah,
I'll put the links in the description if you want to go back and listen to that. We're just going to kind of cover the characters, the awesome things that they do, and then how we feel about this box as comparatively to other.
We will try not to talk too much about X-Men in general.
Yeah, that's going to be hard.
Well, if you're interested in the X-Men, head over to Previously Recorded. We did an entire summer worth of X-Men discussion. So if you really want to hear us talk about X-Men and the movies, go head over to Previously Recorded.
Yeah, RP's pop culture podcast, Previously Recorded.
Yeah, we're doing Back to the Future now, but we spent the entire, it was 6 months.
Yes, long. It was a long summer.
This time last year we started, actually. And it went till October. It's crazy.
All right, so as I said, we're just going to be covering the 4 characters in the first box. We played 2 games. I played Rogue and Gambit.
I played Jean/Dark Phoenix and Cyclops.
Out
of the 4 of them, who was your favorite in this box? So, before we get into the details and everything, who did you enjoy them? I know you played as you, but did mine interest you?
Yeah, I mean, they felt like usual with Dice Throne, as we talked about before. It's crazy how wildly different they feel with such little difference, because at the heart of the game you're rolling these dice, but what they can do without breaking the game is really interesting, because I feel like you can mix the Marvel sets with the other set. I don't feel like anyone's super overpowered. No. I don't feel it's too different. I think Gambit was the most interesting of the characters in this box because of what he did. Mm-hmm. So I'll say him, but I did enjoy Dark Phoenix's power. They all had an element that I liked, but if I had to pick one character out of here, it'd be Gambit.
Okay. Yeah, Gambit seemed cool. I love Gambit and Rogue. I like Cyclops, but I think in terms of just X-Men, but I got to watch you do the mechanics, and playing as Gambit seemed very interesting to me. I like characters that have a lot going on. And so Gambit kind of seemed that way.
A lot going on for sure. But he's a 6 complexity, they call it. Yeah. But I think it's just because there's so much to manage with him.
But I really like Cyclops. I liked Cyclops more than Jean Grey. I don't know if it's because you were kicking Jean's butt, but so I didn't really get to do too much. And, as always with these games, it's about the roll of the dice. But but I really surprisingly liked Cyclops a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you want to just start? I just want to start going over them.
Yeah, so I'll go over Gambit a bit. So Gambit's really cool where his special, like, passive ability that he kind of has built into him are these 4 cards that sit up at the top of your board. And then throughout the game and different cards that you kind of play, you are charging these cards. So you get, like, these little bursts, and you play them on slots on these cards, and they just kind of sit over to the side. And then what's cool is, like, once they're charged, they do, like, an additional effect. So the one is an ace card of hearts, and you do 2 additional damage, and then you heal according to half what you roll. So if you roll 6, you're healing 3.
And check out the Instagram as well for
Yeah, the visuals.
like visuals for this. Yeah.
And then the spade is 1 damage, and then, like, an additional roll of a dice to do more damage. The club does 3 damage, and if you activate any offensive ability that utilizes, like, a certain die, it's like a supercharged die, it does an additional 2. So if you roll a 6 in your attack that you're adding onto, it does more damage. And then the diamond does 2 damage, and then you flip back over any cards you used previously, because once you kind of charge them, it's as if you're throwing them and you're losing them. So you can use that ace charge to flip over 2 other cards.
Very thematic.
Yeah, very thematic, very cool. The other things he does is disillusion, where you give it to another player, and then that player can choose to heal or remove a status effect. So in multiple player count, this is good. You can also give it to yourself to heal too. And then disruption in the upkeep phase. So another player, they can choose to lose 1 combat point or take 2 damage. So, like, all in all, like, it was very cool, like, kind of managing the charge. Like, I pulled it off a few times, and it was just, like, exciting to do. Like, it was an extra element of, like, excitement where I'm like, oh, I get the charge and, like, basically pretend I'm throwing these cards at you. A lot of the cards he has, which I will say this set utilizes the cards, I think, more than other sets we kind of done, especially when you talk about Cyclops. Like, he really utilized cards. But I feel like in, like, the normal Dice Throne, I'm not playing cards as much, or, like, focusing on playing cards as much as I did with this set.
Yeah, the cards for the other Dice Throne set are just, like, auxiliary, like they're just like additional, like, things to help you out, where I have found in the 2 games we've played with these 4 characters that there's a lot of cards in here that are thematic to a degree and important and can really help you, and I actually like that. It's adding to the game. It's not just painting it a different color. It's which I the cards are always important, but, like, I don't really focus on them. Where there was a huge advantage for myself with Cyclops, and then even in the next round that we'll talk about in the next episode for another character I played, there was a really nice component to having the cards.
Yeah, so, yeah, like, one of the ones I used for Gambit was card magic, and it's like you can re-roll up to 2 dice during your high stakes ability, which was part of his build-in ability is to charge these cards. You're rolling 2 or 5 dice at the beginning of your turn and just kind of put in charge. So it just gave you more of a chance to charge these cards up quicker. The one is Gambit's Gambit, which lets you explode 2 cards in a turn. That one was, like, really fun and thematic to kind of pull off, because normally you can only explode one of the cards. And then the other one was, like, Call Your Bluff. Choose an opponent, examine their hand. If they have a roll phase action card, you accelerate the cards you kind of have. Where, again, it's just, it felt very thematic, which is always a thing that we give this game. It just oozes the theme. But Gambit, not a character that I thought I would care about when they announced a Kickstarter. He was the one where I was like, all right, I know he's popular, but how's he going to work in the game? And then they prove me wrong every time, because he's awesome. He's like, he really plays well, and that's why I think he was my favorite. Like,
he was cool.
There was a lot to do with him.
His icons on this dice were really cool too.
Yeah, the heart and spade and pole and all. And just, again, the art is good for him. I think it's just like the board is flashy because there's a lot of color going on, that purple and pink. But
Yeah, I love those colors.
yeah, Gambit I think is, like I said, in this box I think he's my favorite character.
I also like all the names are written like the 90s, like their characters in the 90s, like they're
Yeah,
like
whoever.
how they would in like the X-Men cartoon.
Yeah,
like when they
Tremblay and like the crew are clearly
Fans.
90s era X-Men fan. So like I said, that's my favorite character from my team. So go, which one?
Yeah,
go,
so
go over your Dark
I'm
Phoenix.
gonna go over Jean Grey and Dark Phoenix. So Jean is interesting because it comes with this cardboard like layover that fits perfectly. So if you know Dice Throne, you know the character is in the center of the board. So this has this nice little cardboard layover that you start. It's one of her passive moves. So Jean Grey starts as being active as Jean Grey, and then every other turn you flip between put this little cardboard cover over as Dark Phoenix, and then at the end of the turn you go back to Jean Grey. And now there's advantages to having the Dark Phoenix. Like some attacks are more powerful. For example, the small straight, large straight attacks become undefendable when she's the Dark Phoenix. And in your defensive role, you get 2 additional dice when you're in the Dark Phoenix. Now, part of also with Jean is that when you are Jean, there's this interesting thing that I don't think I've really seen before with a Dice Throne character. So, during your main phase, you draw the 1 card at the beginning, but if during your offensive phase you roll 3 of a kind of the number, not the symbol, you then draw an additional card.
Yeah, a lot of characters did that this set as well.
Yeah, like that
Like,
is...
I think I like that addition.
I
a
like
lot.
it too. However, the inverse of that, when you are the Dark Phoenix, is that you skip your income phase, so you don't draw a card, you don't gain a combat point. And when you activate your offensive roll, if, again, your dice show 3 of a kind, you either add 2 damage to your attack or inflict the Phoenix Burns, which is one of her status effects that you receive 2 undefendable damage in the upkeep phase, like you inflict it on somebody. And so they have to roll 1 dice, and if it's between the numbers of 5 and 6, then they can remove the token. But yeah, so it's interesting. So her powers her status effects are the force field, which just helps prevent damage. You got acuity, which is this is also a newer thing with the stack limit. So if you have 1 token, if you have 2 tokens, or if you have like 3 or 4 tokens, there's different things that status can do. And again, I feel like that is a little bit newer for this. She has Flame Blast, which can only be used for the Dark Phoenix, and it can just be spent to increase your attack. So yeah, that's kind of her status effects. And then, so her attacks are, I didn't really get lucky with a lot of her rolls, but you know, a lot of it is not straight damage. You have the obvious one, where the lower dice, like the 1, 2, or 3s, where that's the standard Dice Throne, where you get 3 of them, it's 4 damage, 4 of them, it's 5, 5, it's 6. That's the standard. But everything else is really, truly based around her status effect tokens and then damage here and there with, you know, you roll all the 6s and you get the 12 undefendable. So, you know, I wouldn't say she's incredibly unique. She's just the Dark Phoenix overlay is unique.
She's interesting because it's that balance of the Jean Grey. Like it's again like kind of thematic where it's like she's Dark Phoenix, so she's doing crazy damage, but you're not gaining combat points and you're not drawing cards. So there is like a negative to it because if you want to build your character up, like you're not able to. Like it's a good balance, and I think you had some cards that kind of affected it, right? Like
yeah, like there is a card that even if you're not the Phoenix, you can play the card and you can become the Phoenix. If you are in the Dark Phoenix, you can roll 1 dice and gain half the value as the Flame Blast, which again, that's an attack modifier. Yeah, there's stuff like gain Force Field, remove 2 acuity to gain 3 combat points. And then there was this cool one that I didn't get the chance to play, which was called Mind Change. So you flip one of your dice, you don't roll it. So you flip it to the opposite side. It's just like changing the value. Yeah. But it was cool. So if you're a 1, you flip it to a 6. A 2, you flip it to a 5. 3, you flip it to a 4. So I found they were kind of interesting. But I didn't think there was anything truly other than like she has some cool, like her status effects are cool, and the Dark Phoenix aspect is cool. Other than that, I wasn't really like impressed by her. I just like, and I also don't love Jean as a character either.
Yeah, it's just another character with like a lot of options, like play
Yeah.
style wise. Because again, like
But it feels like there's something you can kind of do every turn.
yeah, and then the flipping back and forth, it's like because you're like next turn I'm Dark Phoenix, so I'm not gaining CP. So it's like there's a lot more strategy and planning.
Yeah.
She was good though. It's just you definitely got bad rolls for her, and she was kind of the one I target the most because I kind of underplayed Cyclops, which I feel like most people do, but
Yep.
I just like, oh, she has to be awesome because it's
It's
Jean
Jean.
Grey and a Phoenix, so
I mean, like it's cool, and I will say both games that we played today, we didn't have. I don't think either of us had a turn where we weren't able to do something.
nah.
Which is kind of that doesn't happen. Like we usually always have at least a round where I
Yeah,
can't do
yeah.
anything. But that was Jean. I liked Jean, didn't love her, but I really did like Cyclops.
All right, we'll tell us about him, and then I'll jump to mine.
All right, so Cyclops is obviously, if you're not a fan of the X-Men, maybe you don't know who Cyclops is, but if you don't, he's typically the leader of the X-Men if you remove Charles. So he is card heavy. He's very reliant on his cards. So he has his standard, small straight, large straight, the standard stuff. A lot of his is gaining his status effect, like battle plan, which again, this just allows you to, if it's a stacking thing, like if you have one of them, you can look at your opponent's hand. 3, you can look at the top of your deck, and he has these special cards called leadership cards that allow you to, most of the time, increase if you play one or more than one down the line, it then in your turn allows you to be an attack modifier if you have other cards. Like there's benefits to that. And then if you stack 3 or use 3 of the battle plans, you could inflict focus fire, which again is just a +1 incoming damage you can put on somebody, but it's persistent. It doesn't leave until your opponent removes it themselves, which is great.
Yeah.
Then he also has support, which the X-Men are always supporting each other. And again, just one of those things to, gain CP, reroll, draw a card. So his aren't really like, you can't stack them to get a huge like attack. So his status effects are really just kind of a benefit and have some sort of benefit. But once again, in one of his attacks, if you roll 4 of a kind, you gain battle plan and support. But I felt like his combinations were some combinations I really haven't seen, like 3 of the 4 of the 5 with one of the 1, 2, 3s, like that
Combination of
was
dice.
the combination of dice.
So I will say, not to cut you off, he seemed like an easier character to pull off because
he was complexity level 4. I didn't think
I don't
was
think
that
he was
difficult.
at all. But a lot of when you're playing Dice Throne, you're rolling the die and it's according to the die face. Some of these characters will have a very like hard kind of combination to roll, or like they'll utilize like 5 or 6s, which are less likely to roll. A lot of his involved his 1, 2, and 3 like fist die to make it pretty easily utilize like his powers. Like I felt like he was always kind of doing something because you were able to roll so well with him.
Yeah. And then like a lot of his spaces said if a leadership card was previously played. So he is very card dependent.
Yeah.
So some of them is like add 2 damage, gain support, So that was kind of his defense was 3 dice. One of his tokens on his die was a pocket, which was
awesome. Yeah, like
and one of
because again he's very 90s, so he has like 30 pouches around his
front.
like belts.
Yeah, so one of his pouch, not pocket. One of his cards that you play for no cost was pouch power, and you just roll 1 die plus an additional die for each other leadership card you would play, and then you gain stuff on it. So that counts as 1. There's a card called Need a Hand, Never Surrendered, like all this very Cyclops themed stuff that was either an attack modifier, prevented damage, or let you draw cards.
And all these cards are considered leadership cards for his ability, which is...
And there's a little notation of it down there. But if you're playing these correctly, that's how I won.
Yeah.
Like spoiler alert, Cyclops was the last man standing.
Yeah.
And I really like Cyclops and would definitely play him again.
Yeah,
Because there's an advantage to being the 1, 2, 3, like to relying on those.
Yeah, and that leadership like card ability, as we said, like of the characters we've played, we've never seen somebody so reliant on card play.
Yeah.
Like he was truly like, this happens if you played a leadership card. So it's like you constantly had to be playing leadership cards to really utilize him well. So he was a character that, again, like he was easy to roll. So you're always kind of doing something, but his like powers, you really had to pay attention to your CP more than you would, because if you're not playing cards, these leadership cards, you're not bouncing the combos.
Yeah, luckily you can like discard at any point to gain CP. So like I was doing that because I was like, oh crap, I might need this, you know. But no, big fan of Cyclops.
Yeah,
I liked
Cyclops
him.
was very cool.
But he didn't even have like very cool in his own way, and not in terms of like the Gambit way where you had
a lot going
on.
Yeah, no, it's just. But again, like it was something different with the card play, where it was like, oh, that's unique. Like where it's like they do such a great job with these characters. I'm never like, oh, this character's just like the barbarian from the original set, or oh, this character's just like Thor. Like they all feel like very thematic and very different with their abilities. The character I played, probably my least favorite in this box, and not because I rolled awful with her, but just because like I think
I want to give her a go because I'm interested.
I think she's the easiest to play in this box. She's a complexity of 3, so like I think she's like the good starter character in this box, which makes her like a little more uninteresting. But she was a powerhouse. Like she was.
What was her complexity?
3.
Okay.
She was definitely like walloping because there's not much to her. Like she's just very. Her tokens and everything else were very just like, this is this. So the 3 kind of abilities that she had were influence, where you would give it to somebody else, and each one that's stacked up to a limit of 3 on a character, if they roll 1 through 3, their attempt rolls go down. So this is just like Yahtzee style of gaming where you roll 3 times. But if you have like 3 of them on you, you're only rolling once, and you can't manipulate your dice to roll again. So interesting.
Yeah.
Her other ability is ionic energy, which is her passive. So whenever she takes damage, she's like absorbing it to kind of give it back later, which isn't a thing I kind of thought Rogue did.
Absorb and give back?
Yeah.
I mean, she absorbs.
But like she doesn't.
But she doesn't. Well, it depends, because there's some where she temporarily takes the power. So you can think of like giving it back.
I guess. I like it. The only thing I can think of it's like her Miss Marvel.
Yeah,
where she absorbs. So what that is, it's just these either a 1 token or a 2 token, and then that's just a modifier to an attack. So if you're attacking and you play a 1 token, it's doing 1 more damage, and then you could pay 1 CP to be able to play up to 4 in a turn. So very cool, like very damage heavy, very simple.
Yeah.
And then Skyward is her like flight ability. When a player with this token is attacked, they may choose to spend it. If spent, you and your attacker each roll. So you're rolling off against each other. And if I roll 6, you roll 2, I win. And then I deal 3 damage back to you. If we roll the same, I prevent 4 damage. And if you roll more than me, it does nothing. Cool. Like, it's very, like, all right. Again, very simple, very standard. So I was just kind of like, all right, she was easy to play. Like, I'll give her that. Like, it was just like, like, even you were like, what's that do? And I explained it. You were like, all right. And you never even asked again. I had a really hard time with her. So the thing that we talked about with Cyclops being a lot of his 1, 2, and 3 symbol dice, a lot of her attacks didn't utilize her 1, 2, and 3 attack die. It would be like the one leech, which is her best attack, where she steals life from you. She takes life from you, and then I gain life. You need a 1 of her dice, and then like a 4 and 5. 3, 4, and 5 dice. It rarely happens. Like I might have done that once or twice. I was using her basic damage a lot. Like just her 1 dice like stacked up. I just really had a hard time pulling her off well.
Okay.
But you saw, like, when I did do damage, I was doing damage. I didn't need to do a lot of special things with her, where it was just like I was just rolling 4 of her 1s, to deal 5 damage, and then playing the ionic energy to make it stronger. So she's a powerhouse, but she's just not. There's not much bells or whistles with her.
Which is fine. I
Yeah.
mean, I think Black Panther or Captain Marvel might be like that in the Marvel set, in the other Marvel set.
Yeah, I as much as I just said we're not comparing characters, I think with her ionic stuff, that's very Black Panther.
There's also always that one character where I would think Cyclops was kind of the straightforward one, but there's always that one character that's easy to know and play.
Yeah,
so
I think in this box, Rogue is that character we go. If you never played before, here's Rogue.
Yeah.
Like I want to be like, hey, you never played before? Here's Gambit. Have fun. It's like there's so much happening.
Right.
But I'm not going to downplay her. I fun with her because she's just a powerhouse, just smacking people around. But she was just kind of like the most milquetoast, basic of it all.
It's always fun to see them on the table, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, question.
Yeah, sure.
Do we want to save our normal other discussion for once we cover part 2? Or do we want to, we typically do things like who else would you like to see?
Yeah.
Do we want to save one of them for the next episode? Do we want to critique I
want to do a critique.
Okay.
We'll do our critique because you and I both kind of had the same thought. And then the next one we'll discuss what we would have liked to seen and maybe like why they did things the way they did.
Okay.
We kind of, there was questions I had and then stuff came out and I went, oh, okay, that's why. Yeah.
Like every good superhero movie, there's a sequel. And just like every good podcast, there's a part 2.
So just going from these 4 characters in this box, the MSRP for this is about $45.
Yeah.
I think that was kind of average with the other ones.
They're on
but
sale?
It's already on sale on Amazon.
Which I didn't know. I thought this was still hadn't shipped, but maybe that's just because the battle chest hadn't shipped.
Yeah, because everything got pushed back. Because when we talked about it at PAX with the team at the OP and Roxley, they kind of said it was running a bit later than they anticipated. So I don't know when this officially even dropped, but it's already on sale on Amazon. So as of right now, it's down to $36, which is a great value.
Yeah, it says the X-Men and Marvel pre-orders from Dice Stone, like the chest, expected to ship early March.
Okay.
So same
now, yeah.
Frame.
I $45 is great. I think Roxley does a great job with production. I think dice, everything, components is great. I love the game style. That'll never change. I don't think it ever will just because it's a great system. The biggest problem you and I have, and I think it's going to be a lot of people's problem, is this is a whole different layout than any of the other sets we have ever gotten.
Yep.
So in the other sets of Dice Throne, it's a bifold board set.
Yeah, it's nice.
You have a bifold character set that folds up. You add individual nice trays for each character. For whatever reason, maybe cost cutting or whatever they had to do, this does not have it. They are one board, just like flat board. The box has individual sections for all the components and cards, but not individual.
Like there's no tray for the dice. There's no tray for the component. There's no they were really nice.
There's trays in the box. There's sections.
There's sections, but it's just a square. And there's a section for the cards.
Yeah, it's
but
not
then there's
what
just
it
a
usually
square
is.
where it's throw everything in. Where the trays had a line, a design space for the dice, a design space for the tokens, and a design space for everything else, and it fit so nicely. And it's something simple, but something I love about the layout. Also, easy to store.
Yeah.
So this is a huge. I think in terms of there was some annoyance from the folding. If when you're laying the board out, this is easier because it's just flat and the cards aren't moving. It is, but in terms of a presentation, storage, and keeping everything together, I don't like it.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, I don't understand the choice, and I'm gonna look up.
The other ones, if you wanted to, you could just pick it out. Now you got to shift through a little bit.
Yeah,
it's a little bit more difficult.
It's not a huge gripe in terms of shifting everything and moving around, but it's
odd. There's actual complaints about it, right?
Yeah, it's odd because maybe they lost their partnership with Game Trays, the people that made the little trays. I don't know what it is, but it's odd to be like this deep into the game system where every other set you've ever had utilized that, and then all of a sudden to be like, we're not doing it anymore.
But it seems like the battle chest,
if you bought the Kickstarter,
or you could buy directly from their site, still comes
with
like that.
individually. Yeah, so maybe it's just they're just deciding that's the specialty of it is the Kickstarter, which is annoying. But
it is annoying.
Yeah, I will say that's a huge. Not even huge, because I still love the game. It's still a great game. But it
doesn't take away from the game.
It put a sour taste in my mouth to be like, it's not uniform.
But now I have to find somewhere to store these a little differently, where on my shelf downstairs,
they fit.
It would fit
a little better,
really nicely.
Yeah, I will say that. Because they don't bifold, it does make the box longer than the other. Because even if you didn't have individual containers, if they all bifold it, the space for the box would be smaller. It would be thicker but not longer.
Maybe I'll just throw out Quest of Yore.
No, but
I'll make room. We're
we'll
never playing that damn game.
Quest of Yore get played. So that's a huge thing. Also, the art for this is it just feels different. It's the same artist as far as I know.
Look, the boards pop.
Yes.
You're a little bit more harsh on the art. Comic book art is vastly different all the time. It's probably not. It feels a little bit different than the original Marvel set. But like you said, they seem a little bit more thinner. They don't seem...
Not that these are beefy characters, but they just...
No, there are 2 designs that are actually terrible, but the rest of them, I have no problem. I think Gambit looks great, Cyclops looks great.
A minor gripe. Only because...
But also, no, it's not a minor gripe.
With every other set, I have praised the art to the moon and back. When I'm not loving the art, you're going to hear it as well. And I don't think the art for this set is up to the quality and par of every set that's been come before. And I'm pretty sure it's the same artist. And they're great, don't get me wrong, I can't draw. But they just, comparatively to Thor and Doctor Strange...
I still think that they pop, though. I think they pop.
The boards pop. The colors pop.
You just don't like the design.
I think the character designs are extremely lacking. I think... You even kind of say it, they almost all look the same. Like Bobby Drake, if you make him white with brown hair, it's Cyclops.
Yeah.
And then
Iceman looks bad.
I don't know.
And there's some stuff from the Wolverine that looks bad. But I think Jean looks good. I think Rogue and Gambit and Cyclops look good. But you're right. But that's also the same art. But the same artist should be able to make something a little bit different.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's again...
Where I will say, like you said, the Marvel set, or even, the Barbarian, they all are so different.
Yeah.
They're so different.
I feel like this set, I don't know. I just don't know. Again, I love the game, so the art's not going to kill it because of the game style, but it is just I don't love this art as much as the other art, and that's fair. Yeah, especially being the same artist. If they said it was a different artist, I'd be like, oh, fair. Yeah. It's just... I've grown up with enough awful comic book art in my life that I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, true.
But this is still good art, but it's just not up to the par that I expected.
And that's fair.
Yeah. So overall, what do you think about just this box? If this was all we got, would you be satisfied?
Well, knowing what I know, it's tough to say that. But, yeah, because I think there's enough individuality to these characters. I think there's enough of a interesting gimmick of Gambit's gimmick and Dark Phoenix's gimmick, and then just the game itself. It's just enjoying to play the game. The game is great. Yeah. But the other box is better.
Well, we're not there yet. Spoiler alert.
You can delete
for the
that.
Next time. No, I'm not going to delete it because now it sets some tease for the next.
Yeah, the second box is better.
So. Yeah, I'm fine with this. I'm happy with it. The gameplay is always amazing. More games. Almost a Game of Thrones. More dice thrown to add to a game is great when we do get to play this game. More options.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, the Kickstarter characters they chose are interesting. I'll talk about the next episode only because we kind of learned what we learned. But I will say,
what we learn?
If you are a fan, save for episode 2.
Yeah, I guess.
If you're a fan,
I'm gonna learn too
of Dice Throne.
I know. Yeah.
If you're a fan of Dice Throne, I would 1,000% get this to add to your collection.
And if you like the previous Marvel set,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, even
Actually, because if you like Dice Throne, you probably like it, but maybe you haven't gotten the Marvel set.
Yeah.
That Marvel set's awesome. This Marvel set's awesome.
If you're a fan of X-Men and Marvel, and you played Dice Throne, you know you already love it. Because, again, the gameplay isn't changing. But I will say I'm satisfied. I think this, if I had to give it like a grade or whatever, we don't do. But I'm saying like this box is fantastic. For the minor gripes that I have about it,
Yeah, absolutely.
it's another awesome set of characters to add to the growing.
Price point's
Dice
not
Throne.
bad, too.
No, that's not 45. It's pretty standard. Pretty good.
The on-sale prices.
But on sale's even better, yeah.
Good.
And then guaranteed, if Barnes and Noble or Target carries this, it'll drop to like $10.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, save for part 2.
Yeah, we'll see you on part 2. Remember to rate, like, and subscribe. If you like what you hear, check out what you see. You'll like, what is it?
If you like what you
hear,
hear,
you'll
love
What you see.
what you see on Instagram.
And-
Yeah, well, pictures of this, pictures of anything I've kind of played or we've played that we don't cover or haven't covered yet. And
This oozes theme. I don't know if we said
yes,
that. It oozes theme.
theme.
So,
But stay tuned for part 2 coming on in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Our normal timeline where box 2 is better, so be sure to listen.
Yep. Da-na-na-na-na. Na-na-na-na-na. Na-na.
Copyright, come sue me.